Good morning, everyone. We don't look very happy this morning. Are we tired? Was it a long night? I hope today makes you feel better. So my name is Njobati Sylvie Vernyoy. I'm 31 years old. 6th of June made me 31. And I will be showing a short film. My friend and I, who is also my colleague, Mark Sebastian, we thought to title it Radical Diplomacy, because it embodies the work that I have been doing on restitution. But before we show the clips, I would like to give you a bit of background on how I started my journey to request for the return of what is now called objects in Europe, collected in colonial context. So when I was born in 1991, my mom was still studying. And so she had to leave me with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a reverend pastor, and my grandmother was a farmer. And so I grew up with my grandfather. At some point, my great-grandfather died, and he was a traditional ruler. And so my grandfather was supposed to be the one to take up that role as a traditional leader. And then I remember him telling me, I cannot serve two masters at once, that one is light and one is darkness. And he said at this point in time, he feels like he was called to become a pastor. And so he cannot take up the role of a traditional leader. And when he could not take up that role because he was the rightful heir, the only heir to that role, our traditional setup till date has been in ruins. And that is how I was disconnected from my culture, my identity, and my origin, my rootness. So at some point in time, I still grew up with him, of course. And some years back, I grew up in the Anglophone region, which is dubbed the minority 20% of the country. And of course, this is because of the colonial boundaries that were drawn to make the English-speaking Cameroon 20% and the French-speaking Cameroon 80%, which of course are colonial boundaries. So when I moved from Bamenda to Yaoundé, which is the capital city of Cameroon and in the French region, I think I had the worst cultural shock of my life. It has never been the first time I came to Germany. It has never been the first time maybe I was in another country, but the cultural shock, the worst cultural shock of my life that I've had is within my own country, moving from one city to another. When I moved to Yaoundé, I felt like I'd moved into a completely different setup, a different culture. Where I came from in the English-speaking part of Cameroon, I would say that people were more connected to each other. It was about community, we looked after each other. But in the French part of Cameroon, it was more about the individual, the person, and we were regarded as second-class citizens. I remember I tried to cross the road at some point and a car coming from the wrong direction tried to hit me, and the rider started insulting me, calling me Anglophone. And it's the same thing that happens with everyone else who is from the English-speaking region. So I started reflecting, but who am I when I'm not bound by, the English culture of community life, and when I'm not bound by the French system of education, by the English system of law? Who am I when I'm stripped of these colonial legacies? And I must say that I was very naive at that time. So I had this reflection and I let it go. So, but then I still kept living and having that understanding that I don't really know where I'm going to because I haven't mastered where I come from. I don't have that connection with where I come from. I don't know who I am at the time. And again, at that point, the only thing I knew about myself was that I was a child of God, as taught by my grandfather, because I grew up with him. So in 2018, there was a call for project. I had just started my film career then in 2017. And in 2018, there was a call for project to some sort of examine the colonial heritage in Cameroon. And I submitted. And for me, it was about also trying to reconnect. My project wanted to reconnect to my roots. And so I went back to my grandfather that I thought was a very good starting point for me to be able to understand self. I wanted to know from him if he had come to a new understanding of the coexistence of culture, tradition, and Christianity. And I wanted to know from him, you know, how else I could connect with my culture that I've been disconnected to or from a long time. And so when I met my grandfather in 2018, we spoke and he talked to me about the quest to see Ngonnso, and he told me he would like to see Ngonnso before he passes on. Now, for those who do not know Ngonnso, Ngonnso is a statue. We never refer to the statue as a statue. We always refer to the statue as she. Ngonnso is the statue, and she's the only image of the founder of Ngonnso people. So that's the only picture we have of our founder. And over time, Ngonnso, the statue was revered and was used for spiritual purposes, for rituals. And in 1902, during the German expedition in Ngonnso, where I come from, this object was looted. And 120 years on, it is found today at the Humboldt Forum and under the ownership, a project ownership of SPK. And so I started the journey to fulfill my grandfather's wish of seeing Ngonnso return and also of finding myself. And this quickly became a journey, not just for myself and maybe for my grandfather, but for all Ngonnso people. And today it's about Africa. So the film you'll be watching is Radical, it's just a short clip, like clips of the different activities of the work that I have done so far. And it's titled Radical Diplomacy. So please, you can go for it. Sit down.
If Ngonnso comes back, it will be the pride of the Ngonnso man, and it will be the pride of Cameroon to see the Ngonnso tradition being installed. The Ngonnso should come back so that some of us can see before we go to eternity from Germany.
Obviously, I don't think everything should be sent back to the countries from which they came. Not everything was stolen. But those things that are sacred, those things for whom people were killed, those things that have in them the stains of innocent blood should be returned. Obviously, we do not have all the information. There are facts lost in unrecorded history, but we can draw reasonable conclusions based on information that we do have. We can deduce, for example, that the Ngonnso, the beautiful sculpture of the founder and guiding spirit of the Ngonnso people of Cameroon, the former German colony, could not possibly have been obtained under benign circumstances. Because why would you willingly give up your guiding spirit?
Tear it down and turn it upside down. Tear it down and turn it upside down. Tear it down and turn it upside down. Tear it down and turn it upside down.
Die Restitutionsdebatte zeigt, dass es mehr denn je um Originale geht, um die Aura, den Symbolwert und um Respekt für den Eigentümer. Für das Original der mythischen Gründergöttin seines Volkes hat der Fon der Ngonnso, ein spiritueller Führer aus der früheren deutschen Kolonie Kamerun, 12 Flugstunden nach Berlin auf sich genommen. Im Berliner Humboldt-Forum will er Ende 2022, nach 120 Jahren, erstmals der Ngonnso begegnen, der Urmutter seiner Ahnen. Die Ngonnso. Für den Fon ist sie ein spirituelles Wesen. Nach 120 Jahren spricht wieder ihr Priester zu ihr. Für Christen vergleichbar mit der Wandlung. Eine Erweckung mit dem Wasser und dem Grün aus der Heimat. Zu diesem Ritual gehört auch der Hofsprecher, der die Worte des Fons einatmet und dann verlautbart.
Der Fon wird die Ngonnso jetzt nicht berühren, sondern erst in seinem Palast. Dort, wo die Ngonnso ihren angestammten Platz hat und rechtmäßig hingehört.
Artifacts. It is Ngonnso for us, but there are thousands of stolen African items still being displayed in European museums.
Let us take the world to that doorstep.
Yes!
Let's get the bullets, the balls and the arrows, the knives and the sticks.
Commander!
Officer 2! Commander! Officer 3! Commander! Officer 4!
Commander!
Am I your friend?
No, Commander!
Am I your friend?
No, Commander!
Are you ready for war?
Yes, Commander!
Are you ready for war?
Yes, Commander!
I'm so sorry that we had to end on a sad note, but the purpose of this is also to mention that the question of restitution is a timely topic. It's time bound. The people who have worked hard and have set the basis for the conversations, they do not get the chance to see restitution happen in their lifetime. And that is quite difficult. So what's missing from this film is that after the protest we had in Germany in September of 2021 in Berlin, and we had a couple of workshops with SPK, and in June of 2022, there was the decision to return Ngonnso back to the Ngonnso people, which was a very huge win for us. But up till today, it's 1 year on, and the physical return has not yet happened, which is very problematic as well, because this morning I got wind of the fact that we lost John Frundi, who is also one of the key people who had expressed his interest in the returns, and he died this morning. So it's a huge, you would understand why it's a personal cause for me. Please, all right.